Welcome to our Game 1 recap of the Florida Panthers Toronto Maple Leaf playoff series. Uh, I don't know, boys. How do you guys feel after Game 1? That was interesting. It definitely
Sorry,
wasn't.
Brian, can you just specify what round we're in though, please? Please?
Oh, yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs are now playing the Florida Panthers in round two of the
Oh,
Stanley
that
Cup
sounds
playoffs.
Oh
nice.
man, music to
Oh,
my
that
ears.
sounds good.
So, I don't know. I don't know what I think about this. You guys went down 1-0 last time in Florida. Obviously, last time was a little bit of a battering 7-3, but now you guys lose 4-2. I thought that we'd get more media coverage on CB24. I thought that like my Twitter notifications would be going crazy, but even you guys weren't saying much. Maybe you guys were just busy or something, but I don't know. I didn't think that the reaction would be this quiet for a game one loss.
I mean, me and Dave were just talking about it. It was like a pretty cut or dry game. You can extrapolate a bunch of things you want out of this game, but within the context of the 60 minutes that were played, it was just kind of a pretty neat hockey game. Penalties, 4-2. Not too many scrums after the whistles.
Wait, was the
So
penalties at 4-2 because Paul Maurice was convinced it was 5-1. That's why he
it
put up
was.
the bat signal on his chest. I don't know. We
It was
must,
Yeah,
4-1.
dude. Okay,
we
we
were
were so
watching
confused
that.
by that.
We were
Yeah,
watching. Okay, so that's why. So we were watching that. At first, I was like
yeah.
six. Like, who's got? I was like, I thought he was like saying six. Like he wanted six skaters on. I was like,
No, but
what?
that's the only thing I could think of is that okay, they're getting the penalty. So hey, guys, six skaters. That's the only thing I could think
I
of.
was like, that's so. I was so confused with that, and then they were like,
Yeah,
yeah, he's showing up the thing, but that was wrong too, right? Because you said that the penalties were 4-2,
4-1, 4-1.
4-1. Okay, so
Yeah,
maybe he just mixed it up. Like he thought that we got an extra one. Okay, that's fine.
maybe he was
If
doing like
it's
it's a
here,
double minor. So it's
oh yeah,
actually I doubt it. I
maybe.
honestly
Who knows?
I would have to think it was for the skaters. I would, but it's also just like these guys aren't in house league. They can. I think they know what's about to happen. I don't know.
Uh
Someone's gonna have to ask him about the bat signal. Yeah.
that was fun.
That was weird. But
That was it was just so like random too. Like they just panned to him on the bench and he had like he put it up
It was well
slowly. Like
timed.
he did it at like the perfect time. It was like he put it up one and then he did two. I was like, what's going
No,
on here?
no expression on his face. It was just like a robot.
Deadpan expression
Yeah,
too.
it was
yes,
Uh
like you guys in soccer when you get the substitutions and there's like the Hublot watch guy and he just puts up the sign. That was Paul Maurice. He's just like
he's making
my
this up.
job here
Maybe he's
is to
calling
put
number
up the bat
six.
signal.
I don't
do you guys
know.
Maybe
remember?
I don't know.
Do you guys remember if it was after, like right after the Montour goal? Because that was Montour's sixth goal of the playoffs, right? So
Ooh.
I I
I
doubt
don't
it.
know.
I still
I
I'm gonna go with the six skaters theory.
I
That's
have a
that's the
feeling,
theory still.
Bry, if I'm not mistaken, that came after, just after the Sam Bennett double minor in like the dying minutes
Okay.
of the game. So I don't know. It's just so tough. Like, and it's not like you could ask Paul either, because he'll give you some BS answer. He'll give you something completely crazy about it.
He
I
gave me
think
the
even
Mack Chuck answer.
yeah, he would. He will give you the
Yeah.
Makachuk answer. His quotes too, after yesterday, they've been pretty good. I wouldn't say saucy just yet, like not extra saucy like you're going to a wings place saucy, but saucy enough for an Italian household, basically. Um, I guess we could just jump right into the start of the game. I have to
Yeah.
say, all in all, the Leafs put in, I would say, a good 60-minute performance. It was
A
adequate.
consistent 60 minutes.
I think if we
Yeah.
if we extrapolate all six Tampa games plus this one, I would say this is probably up there with their most consistent 60 minutes, right? In terms of
Definitely their best start as well. Well, maybe game
100%.
two as well, but their
Yeah,
best start since game
I
two.
I think yeah, I think that one, those first two games of that Tampa series have to be like the outliers in a way, just
Yeah.
because it's like they dominated us and then we came out and dominated them. So I think maybe those ones we could think, but 100% since game two, that was definitely their best all around performance. Their, or at least most adequate. Because I wouldn't even like, if you're losing a game, you're not having a good game. You know what I mean? The max that could go is like an adequate performance, something to keep you in it. which they did for most of the game. But man, costly turnovers, costly pinches, costly brain farts with like no time to go left in like under 2 minutes left in the period, just kills them. It's an absolute backbreaker. So we'll pick it up pretty early in the first.
About halfway through.
Yeah, so the puck's not cleared out from behind the
Not
Leafs.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to. I did look at the box score a bit, and I did see that in the first like 5 minutes, you guys got two penalties, like two power plays.
Yeah.
Kind of
We
wasted, I think. Two penalties
Yeah.
a
back to
little
back.
bit. I was
And
talking
they had
about them
good chances
yesterday,
there
man.
too.
That's exactly like the process was good.
Mm,
There was a couple games against Tampa where the process wasn't good. One in particular where I think we went like 0 for 4, or no, honestly, it might have been. It was game 4 before the comeback. We had power play chances and they were terrible. Could
yeah.
not enter the zone. Could not get set up. Just a waste of 2 minutes. Total momentum killers. This was not the case last night. Every power play opportunity we got, there was at least one grade A chance for us, and sometimes multiple. The two power plays in the first were just some juicy chances for O'Reilly, a couple deflections, just net front presence, getting stuff to the net. And I don't know, I'm conflicted because, like I said, process was good, but you need results,
Yeah.
especially a penalty kill that isn't very good,
So
right? So
during these
Um,
um during these power plays, you see Sergei Bobrovsky stepping up, making great saves, and getting hot, getting warm. So, is there something in the back of your mind saying, "Oh crap, he's here. This might be the good Bobrovsky. This might be the 970 Bobrovsky that everybody's
dude,
so scared of."
he was nuts last night, and he was nuts to end the Bruins series. So I don't know if we should be totally surprised. I think some people definitely said, "Oh, Bobrovsky's like washed. They just know him for other, like past playoff performances." But there's also one performance against another President's Trophy team where he stood on his head against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So he's obviously the President killer. And in those playoff runs, he's pretty damn good. I don't know. I think, listen, even if Bobrovsky's on his A game, the game plan shouldn't change too much from what we did against Vasi because it's a game plan that works against any goaltender. Deflections, traffic in front, sifting pucks from the net, from the point. All of those strategies work against any goaltender. We didn't really do it too much last night. I didn't find. There was definitely grade A chances that Bobrovsky came up large on, but I did think we could have done a better job, specifically from the point. I felt like we didn't have as many of those opportunities that we did against Vasi. It doesn't feel like Vasi and Bobrovsky kind of switched bodies this year in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what it
Yeah.
feels like. Maybe that's what's going on.
So
Vasi had like a finished with like an 880, and now Bob's got like a 9. I think it's like a 930, 935, I think.
Jeez.
So
I
my
swear
God.
it's like every other year he's at a 970 or a 700.
Yeah, there's literally no, like, that guy's stats and final stats never read 8 or like 900. You know what I mean? It's like it's either like
The best or the
890.
worst in the league. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wasn't it Pecorine that used to be like that? Good year, bad year.
I think it's a little more
He had a lot
consistent.
of. I
Yeah.
think his
Definitely
was a
had
lot
more good
more
years. Yeah,
good years
I
than
can't.
thing.
There's
But
a
I know
goalie I'm thinking of. Yeah,
Bob's mantra is Vezina one year and then like looking like an AHL backup the
The
next year.
next.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So let's go
one
into the
thing.
Yep,
So
sorry.
one thing I did want to note with the power plays in particular, like you mentioned the process, Christian. That game 4 in particular against Tampa, that was the game that our comeback started on, like, after pressure on the power play. That
Start the
Austin
period,
Matthews
right?
goal. Yeah, that Austin Matthews
Yeah.
goal came a couple minutes after a penalty like expired, and we started picking up the momentum. Now, the Leafs did start to do that 100%, but if you have to do 2 of them in the first legitimately 7 minutes of the game, you've got to tuck one in. But I will say that the process was looking a lot better because against Tampa, they might have finished 1 for 4 in one game, but it was that power play was generating maybe 2 shots. I think in the first 2 power plays we got alone, it was already up to like 6 or 7. So if we're gonna if we can extrapolate that also over the next maybe 5 games, 6 games, 7, however long it's gonna go, if you keep putting up those types of performances, that goal
You'll get a
counter
goal.
on the power play 100% is gonna start going
Yeah.
up, right? You
Yeah.
can't stay stagnant. I mean, you can. Sergei Bobrovsky can literally stand on his head, but it's a lot less likely. So those two power plays went to die. We don't take our chances, and I think one of the most opportunistic teams in the league, in the Florida Panthers, do take their chance about 10 minutes in. So the puck was behind the net. I believe it came out in front to, I think it was Sam Bennett who shot it on, and then a rebound squirted out to Nick Cousins, who he tracked the rebound. Like, it was a big rebound, I would say, from Sammy, but I'm also not going to pin it on him. There's probably something a little bit more egregious later on in the game that maybe we could nail Sammy for just a little bit. But they were just having trouble clearing out in front of the net on that first goal. Dude,
He just rips it on you guys. Rips
that's
it on Sammy.
Sam Bennett, Matt Tkachuk, and Nick Cousins. Apparently, they ran the Leaf show. I think it was they were put up against both of our top lines. It was that Matthews line and the JT line, and they fed both of those lines their lunch all game. It was oof, 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 oof.
That's a weird line. You'd expect that like Matt Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, Nick Cousins wouldn't make up your second line. I mean, you'd expect Nick
Well,
Cousins to be like a third line, like a third liner. You expect Sammy Bennett to be like a second or like middle six guy, and Matt Tkachuk always belongs on the first line, right? But I guess when
they
you put
do
it
it
all together,
purposely, right? They spread
yeah,
it out because they've got. Do they have Markov and Verhaeghe together, or are they split up too?
yes,
Like,
I
and
think
they put
it's
it
them
together.
two
okay,
and Sam Reinhart.
okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's a formidable actual top six line right
Yeah,
there. But then putting Kachuk and Bennett, and then Duclair's on another line, right? Like they do have it really spread out, and that's definitely purposeful because they could totally load it up if they wanted to, right?
100%. So, Nick Cousins scores, and then David alluded to it. That line again gets you guys in the second period. The Cats get the second goal of the series as Sam Bennett tucks it in.
yeah.
2-0 down in the second period.
So
What are you
that
guys
one,
thinking?
in particular, that one's kind of like I know after a watch, at first it seemed like the puck just kind of trickled in, and it was on second watch where you realize that I thought the puck deflected in front of Samsonov. Like I thought, so did Sam Bennett shoot it, or was he the one in front of the net?
He,
Sam Bennett's the one who got credited with the goal, so I
he
think
probably
So
touched
he
it. It
shot
was
no,
Ekblad
so
that shot
he
it.
was it because
I
oh,
believe so. Yeah, it
it
was a
was
tip.
Sam Bennett
Yeah,
did deflect it in
Ekblad
front
with
of
the
the net.
shot.
So
Yeah.
Sam Bennett did deflect it in front of the net, but it did take a big deflection off of Nyes. It was one of those, like, it wasn't a flamingo, I would say, but he had his stick up in front of Ekblad's shot, which caused the first deflection to go. And that's just something, it's like that's a tough one to take. You probably shouldn't be doing that. Like that's
Keep your
unlucky, I
stick on the
guess.
ice.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Get to the
Exactly.
shooting lane, block it with your shin
Yeah,
pads,
so
right?
he was trying to catch up to that shooting lane, you know what I mean? He was
Yeah,
behind the play,
yeah.
or behind the 8 ball, I would say, and he just couldn't catch up, so he tried his best to make up for it, and by making up for it, doing too much, it caused more problems, which is something that you could say for other guys on the team. Like Mitch Marner is notable for doing stuff like that. Doing
I'll tell
stuff
you
like
what.
that.
You said Matthew Dyes, kind of tried to do too much of that play. Well, he did a lot the next play.
Yeah.
Literally, I think like 20 seconds after, he scores what could be the nicest goal that you guys have had all season, on paper at least.
It was somehow nice and like clunky at the same
Scary.
time. It was
Very scary.
weird. Yeah.
I was like,
Just before we get to that, to the other goal for a second, I just want to say that was the type of goals that we were scoring against Bassett, right? Just kind
Yes.
of
yeah.
random, throw it on net. Here's a deflection. Here's two deflections. Oh, it's in the back of the net because who the hell is going to save that? So Florida knows the game plan as well. Yeah, that Nyes goal. What a pass from Matthews. I feel like that's underrated too. Seeing him on the half wall there, he has the patience to wait for Nyes to catch up. Stiffs it through, I think, a Florida Panther pair of skates right onto Nyes' stick. And like Nyes does like an extra move. I thought he actually had him beat at one point. Goes back to the forehand, only to return to the backhand. Doesn't have enough space to really put it in, so he's got to turn and he like throws it behind his back, but it's in the back of the net, and that's all that matters.
It
That
wasn't
was
even the
that was
first
good
time.
karma there.
It wasn't even the first time he tried that game, like last night. Like he tried a similar sort of like behind the back shot. Like
That one I didn't like
literally,
as much.
yeah, that one was like.
I was like, there was nothing on that. What do
And when
you?
he did it the second time, I was like, please stop doing it. And then it went in. I was like, okay, that's fine. For now, that's
Do it
fine.
again.
I was like, for now, it's fine. In the future,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, with Matt Nyes, what I wanted to bring up with him was it still looks like he's in his 9th, 10th game in the NHL. Like that's not a regular full-time NHL player just yet. He will be in the future. He will have a full season to play. I know, like just this playoff run alone and the last like 3 games of the regular season, I think that's more than enough of a sample size already to tell you that this guy's going to be on the team full time next year. But
I
for
like
right
it.
now, like those are 10 NHL games into your career types of plays that he's making. Those are stuff that might have gone well for you in college, maybe in juniors, whenever you were down there. But that type of stuff, it turns like it won't always happen for you. It won't work out for you every time in the NHL. Like that stuff you gotta maybe start cutting out of your game. As much as I like the flashy stuff, sometimes you just gotta get back to like more fundamental things.
So
Maybe
I'm
that's just
actually
a
in
nitpick, but
I'm actually
I
in
don't know.
disagreement with you because
Really,
the year we won, yeah, I'll be honest with you because the year we won the cup, it's like the year before we had like the super team fundamentals were there. It was like everything had to be like everything was stiffened almost like to a T. The next year, obviously, we won the cup that year, but Jake Veranda was a big part of that because he brought this kind of like a youthful energy, like a speed that we didn't have, something that was a little bit unorthodox, and it stayed with him up until the time where he wasn't a Capital anymore because obviously he got traded. But sometimes you just need something a little bit different, like a spark that's not like clear and cut because it changes things up and it changes the dynamic a little bit. So I kind of want Nice to keep what he has now because you think about it, that even going back to the OT goal that ended the Tampa series, that wasn't something you always see. A guy circling around and you just give it back to him right after. The normal play would be just to recycle it back to the defenseman. But obviously, good things happen when you try something different. And you're right, Dave. It eventually might cost him. I'll give you that. But as of right now, his record looks like 100% with that with those kind of plays. So I think
So
you can
far,
give him the
so
benefit of
good.
the doubt. Yeah.
yeah,
So
you're right.
listen, how we've seen him make what just in the playoffs 4 between the legs or just like weird backhands
Something
from
like that.
behind passes, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And do you guys have a player in mind who you think of like between the legs moves? Who's the player that comes to mind for you? Because I've got one that we've seen do it tons of times, and he plays in this series.
Well, are you gonna say Mitch?
No, for me, it's Kachuk. Matt Kachuk. How many
Yeah,
goals has
he's
this
another
guy
one
scored
too.
beside the net where he
That is
throws it in
very
between
true.
You're
the legs?
right.
Remember the
He had
Nashville
that.
OT
He had
goal
that. Yeah, was that
where he goes
was the
roof
Nashville one
daddy?
when he was like he was on like the rush and he hit that.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like
He
full
just kind of
stride and he
flies
hit
in, and
that was
he somehow went top shelf with
crazy.
it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
coin a term for what both players are doing with like Matthew Kachuk and Matthew Nice. Naturally unnatural.
Okay, Brian. I like the headline. Put it on the website. Let's go. Let's go.
Matt Nice, naturally unnatural.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
one.
I mean, at this point, after this goal, Arena's back to life.
Mm.
Everyone can breathe again because it felt like we deserved to be within a goal at least, even when we were down 2-0, right? Like it was like, okay, we're playing well enough here that this should still be a game. We should not be losing this already. So we get that goal. Shots at that point are 17-14 for Florida, surprisingly. Um, and I mean, at this point, the game's kind of settled in as just super fast, rush chances, counter attack, to me, watching this game, like it didn't take a while to realize this is Florida's game that we're playing. If you just go back to the past two series, Tampa versus Toronto versus Boston and Florida, it looked way closer to the Boston Florida series than Tampa Toronto. So here's the thing though, like I don't I don't really know what Toronto's game is because I don't know if we played Toronto's game last series either. That
I,
kind of felt like Tampa's game too, but we beat them at their own game.
I
So
think I think Toronto's game is closer to that Tampa
I agree.
style
Yeah,
than it is the this is the one thing I did want to mention was Florida plays a track meet style hockey, right? It's up one, it's one end of the ice and then it's back down at the other end and it's going back around and around, right? We don't have the legs like that. I don't think that maybe if this was 5 years ago and we had like all those the youth on that team, maybe we could have competed. Who knows if you win that series, but at least at the very least, you give yourself a fighting chance. I think right now you need to slow the game down just a little bit. You can't make it easy for Florida to get in behind. There actually wasn't that like they did a good enough job at closing up, I would say, the middle of the ice. There was like the one goal that like the first backbreaking goal. That was one where it was like, the middle was wide open. It was an indecisive play, but I think at the end of the day, you have to slow Tampa down. Now, maybe that cuts into your goal totals. Like maybe that takes a bit of your offense away. But I
I
think
think for
that's
Toronto, they're fine with that, right?
I
I
think
think
they
they
have to
prefer a
be.
low
You
scoring
have to
game.
accept it. You have to just like, you get your chances when they come, but you have to slow Florida down in order to get those chances. I think.
So here's the thing. I don't know if we can slow them down. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Well,
lies
Boston
more
didn't
on
do
the
it, right?
Panthers. Yeah, exactly. So I think if you leave it up to the Panthers to play the slow game, they won't. They will pressure you. And it's up to you to kind of rise to like match their pace. So honestly, I don't see this series slowing down. I don't see Toronto being able to kind of weather the storm that way. I think we're gonna have to play a Florida Panthers game. My concern is that Florida's been playing fire wagon hockey for a whole season. They've kind of gotten used to playing this way, and in some ways, they're better. They're going to be slightly better defensively playing this way because they've done it all
Done it.
season. Like I said,
Yeah.
right? They've done it all season, and it looked like we really got exposed for playing a pace of game that we haven't for the whole season. We have a lot of guys who are methodical, patient. They like to keep possession, play the puck back instead of forward at times. Specifically, guys like Brody, right? That this is a guy who he doesn't really put the pressure offensively or like just skate with tons of pace. He's agile. He's definitely nimble, but he's not a burner. And I think defensively, he got kind of burned on the 3
Yeah.
2 goal by Brian's favorite player that he warned us about. He's like, oh, yeah, guys, just so you know, this guy's got Sammy's number, Carter Hagee. And I don't know if I really blame Sammy on this one, to be honest. I think you put a lot more of the blame on Brody. We have the puck in their zone. We take a shot, gets blocked, squeaks out to the blue line. Brody has a decision to make. Do I pinch up, try and keep the pressure on, or do I fall back because they might have numbers? Brody decides to pinch. He takes a whack at it, isn't
But
able to keep it in the zone, right?
here's the thing I noticed with that. Like that split second of indecisiveness though, of when he was like, should I at that point, if you're gonna have that indecisiveness, just start skating back, right? If
Yeah.
they're already there, you know what I mean? Like that split second should have come maybe a split second before that. Like you should have been.
If your decision is not 100% yes, it's a no,
It's a
right?
no,
So if
100%.
he was indecisive, like you said, err on the side of
Yeah,
caution.
and I'm not even trying to like, I'm not trying to go into his mind. Like you could see him start to, he was waiting there, like coming back, and then he made that switch to go pinch, right? And that was the wrong decision, which, maybe 90, he does that maybe once every 100 plays, right? That's not something you could say from TJ Brody. But his indecisiveness, even going back into the Tampa series, has has been something that's been a bit questionable at times. Like he's another one too, where it's like it's either yes or no now. Like you can't go in between anymore.
I'm realizing I totally skipped over the bunting goal.
Ugh,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's
it's okay.
backtrack. Let's backtrack to the bunting goal.
Michael Bunty
Um,
scores, backdoor pass from Crow. A little bit of a soccer play. I don't know who shoots it up to O'Reilly. O'Reilly brings the puck down, and then Crow just throws it back post, and Bunting's there.
it's a very simple play there, rush chance. It looks like it was Liljegren who made the stretch pass to O'Reilly. Just simple stuff, and it worked, right?
So
Silky hands by Bunts there.
Bunting scores that second goal. In that moment, is he absolved of the sins from Series 1?
I think he gets
He's
absolved just because we made it through.
Okay, that's true.
yeah. But I do also think he played really well last night. Probably even better than he did in Game 6, and I think most people thought he played well in Game 6. I liked him a lot last night. I thought he had tons of focus and energy. Like he was being he was putting the pressure on offensively and defensively. There was many plays in our own zone where I saw the Michael Bunting energy that we usually kind of only see on offense. He's not really known as a defensive player, but I thought he kind of rose to the occasion last night, and he was focused throughout the 60 minutes. Good to see
I,
him get rewarded there, and hopefully this takes a little bit of the past series off his mind, and he can just kind of look forward.
as a neutral, I want to see him like get into it with Chuck. That would be good. That'd be good
They might.
entertainment.
There's a
It's
very good chance.
it's gonna happen within the series somehow, some way. I promise you that.
The one thing
But
though is because he's playing lower in the lineup, he's not being line matched with him like he would have. Maybe if that suspension never happened, and the Leafs get through, he's probably line matched on that first line, and he's Yarncroke's in his spot right now. Even though Yarncroke, I don't know. I was
Sneezing. Dave was
Thank you.
sneezing.
I was sneezing. I was before the playoffs started, I was a big I was on the Yarncroke bandwagon. I thought he played well enough, especially down the stretch, to warrant a look on the Matthews line. It kind of just seems like the wheels have kind of fallen off a little bit. Maybe pressure, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's just not suited to play like that style of hockey in the playoffs on the first line. I don't, maybe you look
an
I'm gonna
assist.
come. I'm gonna come to his defense here. I'm gonna come to his
okay.
defense here
Okay,
because
go.
I've heard this from a number of people. Heard this
Yeah.
from friends. Heard this in the media. Heard it a lot about Yarncroke. I don't really think he's been bad at all. I think that it's more the fact that the space has been taken away from him to get off his nasty shots. How many times have we seen Yarncroke really load up for either his powerful wrister or the 1T? I don't think we've seen it. And I don't know if you can really. I don't. Listen, you could put blame on him. Maybe he's not finding the open spaces for a pass to be made. But even if you want to take away that, even if you want to take the lethal shot that we're seeing to end the season, that type of offense, I've still been happy with the fact that he gives a consistent effort. He's always going into the corners. He's willing to be a forechecker. He's hard on his stick. And I don't really think he's had any defensive gaffes, any true giveaways that come to mind off the top of my head. I did think there was still a decent rationale to keep him on the first line, even when he wasn't producing, because he'll go into the corners. And you need a guy with Matthews or Marner to do that. And that's what I like about Yarncroke. He's been versatile. He's versatile. Listen, he hasn't been great because you do want a little bit of that offense. But I think the way he's playing right now, he's kind of a plug and play guy where it's like, okay, if you're just going to give us a solid effort and we know what the upside could be, if you ever do get an open chance, we like your shot, throw him wherever you want in the lineup and he'll plug a hole.
So the couple of things to that. When he does find the space, though, there was a couple times. I don't think there was, off the top of my head, I don't think there was really anything yesterday. But in the Tampa series, from what I do remember, when he did have the open looks, they and I don't know if maybe it was he overthought it. He gripped the stick a little bit too tight, but they ended up just being like, it was kind of like muffin shots. They went right to the chest. So that maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just him getting in his own way a little bit. Like he's just, I'm here. I have this chance, and you gripping the stick a little bit too much, and it doesn't come off for you. I think he also had might have fanned on a one-timer in the Tampa series as well, where it's just something like, oh, dude, like that's
There was the
something
Killorn one too. There was that. Remember, he was right in net front, and Killorn last second. This is the game Killorn
yeah.
scored in last second. He comes in and he
I
steals it.
remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
so that doesn't help. Maybe if that goes in, it takes a little bit of a weight off it, and maybe
yeah.
now last game he's thin. But I have to say though, I agree 100%. I don't think he's been bad enough where you demote him, but maybe a look on another line, maybe where he's able to find space. It could happen. On this play, he wasn't on that top line, right? As you mentioned, he was the supplementary piece on that third line with O'Reilly and Bunting. You never know, right? I mean, wherever you see a player on the Leafs team lineup sheet to start the game, I will bet my bottom dollar that like I think the only ones that will stay in their exact spot are like Marner and Matthews. And it's maybe just Matthews, right? Like everybody kind
Honestly,
of
yeah,
just goes
might just be Matt.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I think it
yeah.
legitimately is just Matt, right?
I feel like Yarncroke, if like we could just sum him up as he's kind of playing like a right-handed Kerfoot right now, which is
A
like
little bit.
okay, like right, like he
It's
gives us
fine.
stuff, but we want the finish, sure. We
Kerfoot
want the
too,
finish.
man. Listen, last night I'll give my props out to Kerfoot. He didn't have a spectacular game, but from what I did see, he is somebody, if you're looking to get into that track meet style of play,
You need
that is
him.
somebody that you
Yes,
need
100%.
wheeling and dealing. And he was wheeling. Didn't really get anything going with the wheels, unfortunately, but maybe as the series goes on, he starts to get a little bit more free. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on going in.
I thought that
So
fourth line didn't really do much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice it at all
Dude, go
during the
back to
game.
11-7, man. I
Oh, okay. It's a good like discussion to have though, because this type of game does it not suit Gustafson?
It really
It
does.
yes,
It
hundred
does.
suits
percent.
It
Gustafson
does.
and Liljegren.
Yes, and I thought Liljegren played really
He
well last
played
night.
really well. I think maybe once or twice he was kind of like caught. He was caught in the defensive zone, maybe with the extra pressure from Florida, but I would say he handled it pretty well. I
You
if you get caught on pressure, it's like that's fine. It's how you adapt and how you react and how you handle the situation. If there's a
Florida
fire
gets caught on
happening,
pressure all the time. This is what we're
they
talking about,
do
right? Yeah.
exactly right. And I would say, 80% of the time they're able to extinguish the fire right away. Maybe the other 20% of the time is where you start generating your offense. The Leafs need to
And for Liljegren,
capitalize.
when we saw him make problems, though, like it was almost that he had too much time, and that kind of screwed up
Yeah,
his decision making. This,
maybe.
if anything, maybe suits him more. It's just play hockey, whatever comes in your mind, do that.
Yeah.
So hey,
you guys,
maybe even
you
in
guys
that way,
mentioned
it suits him.
Gustafson, Liljegren. So the defender that just puts the nail in the coffin is Brandon Montour. Off an
Mm.
advantage play where there's the delayed penalty. I don't remember what the penalty was. I
It
don't
was
think it
McCabe
matters.
tripping. It was a
Oh,
trip in the I think it was in the offensive zone too, which is
Yeah. On
the
Kachuk.
bummer there. Yeah, yeah.
penalty. Yeah, no one's gonna remember that because obviously we never even got to see the power play. But 6-on-5, Brandon Montour just rips a shot, gets his sixth of the playoffs. So I
Dave, I
have.
assume this is where okay, Brian, you have a question? Go ahead.
Oh no, I have a stat for you guys.
Oh,
No.
it is.
So
Is it the
X
goalie? The
no
face
no.
stat?
So
Oh.
XG is like expected goals, right?
Expected goals. Yeah.
And it's a kind of a tell to see if this guy's getting his chances, if this guy's playing well or not. Brandon Montour's the highest defenseman for XG with 2.9,
Is that in the league?
like in the whole playoffs.
In playoffs, yeah. That
Nice.
checks out though. Totally checks
Yes.
out. I mean, he's also got the most goals. So
I
yeah,
also I also think that he's the defenseman that benefits the most from playing this running gun style, especially
100%.
Yeah.
because he's so mobile and he might be the player that does you guys in the situation that like if you guys were to lose or if you guys actually no, I'm not gonna say that. This series, I think he's gonna be the defenseman that stands out the most between both blue lines. Just because of the fact that he is most mobile and he has the nicest shot out of all the defensemen there.
Yeah, like I said it before the series too. I said the guy who scares me the most is Brandon Montour. I mean, he kind of proved it in game one. If I had to power rank Florida Panther boogeymans for me, I think it's Montour number one, Bobrovsky two. He's got a case for number one after last night. Then
Kachuk.
Kachuk three. Where the hell is Barkov? Like
Yeah.
we're
somewhere in
at
the
3
Southeast.
in Barkov, right? So that's did you notice him last night, Dave? Because I didn't.
You know what?
I
I,
personally
I
didn't really
am gonna
notice him.
say, you know what? He was a little bit quiet, but I'm
Yeah.
also gonna
He can
put that in
always
my mind where it's
yeah.
he's the boogeyman next door. Maybe he's not in your house, but when you move, he's gonna be there. You know what I mean? Maybe
He's
you
the
go down
boogeyman's
to
boogeyman.
yeah, he is the boogeyman's boogeyman. He will show up. I think there's no
Yeah.
doubt in my mind. I think you know what? Where in a game where you've got support from the other guys, and the other guys are actually like the usual sus, like Kachuk didn't score, but he had a couple of points. Verhage scored, and Montour scored. Like those are three guys where it's like you're shouldering a lot of the load
Offensive
on.
load.
Yeah, if
So
Barkov isn't the one that's popping off, maybe next game he is. So,
I
it's gonna be
I actually
scary.
don't think that you'll see him like pop off offensively per se. I think that you're gonna notice him when he starts killing you guys defensively.
Yeah,
I'm 99% sure Barkov is like their number one like defense. Sorry, not defenseman. Like number one four, they start in the defensive zone. I don't know what this.
100%.
I don't know what the stat is off the top of my head, but like you know how like there's a stat where it's like face off percentages, like
in the D zone and the O zone.
yeah, or
They're
neutral
like
zone.
their start percentage. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's close to like 30% or something
Yeah,
ridiculous like
I
that.
would
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine.
I
I
think David Camp for something like freaking like 90%
yeah,
defensive zone draws, man. Like he's nuts
he's
like that.
always on the ice for those D zone draws.
And that's
Yeah.
probably where you will notice Barkov the most because I'm kind of
Even
like
if he's not providing offense, like we know that
yes.
his defensive game he's a stalwart. So
And I'll tell you
he'll have
what,
an impact on the game one way or another. We just might not notice it as much.
and he might not have to even have an offensive impact because he has another
Yeah.
buddy that got 3 points and gets to carry the offensive load now. So he kind of helps him out a bit there. I'll tell you what though, we're just gonna go on a quick break because well, it's been 40 minutes. We gotta get some water. Gotta use the washroom, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back for a quick little break. Okay, so we just went over every single goal, all 6 goals for that game. How are you guys feeling after game one? Do you guys feel like the players should reimburse the fans for the $700 tickets?
No,
I
we're not
mean,
in England, Brian. Come
yeah,
on.
I mean, if they want to start doing that for like every game that they lose, that would be really cool, because it doesn't seem like we're too good at winning at home so far.
Yeah.
Me and Dave were just talking about this. The top 3 regular season home records belonged to Boston, Toronto, and Tampa, and they've got a combined 2-9 at home in the playoffs. So home advantage, my ass, man.
Even last
Um,
night with Dallas to Seattle, like Seattle just stole the overtime game away. And it
yeah,
kind of sucks too
yeah.
with that one.
I
But
feel like honestly, maybe Seattle and Florida play like pretty similar styles, like just fire wagon hockey, consistent
Yeah.
effort, just pedal to the
it's variable.
metal the whole time,
The only
chances back and
difference
forth.
the only difference is there's no like there's no Matthew Kachuk, like you know what I mean, like a
There's no
top
star power.
5.
There's
Yeah,
no star power.
they score by committee, which I guess you
Yeah,
could say Florida does in spurts, but for the most part it's like 40 goals from like Verhagen and Kachuk each.
yeah.
But it's like 20 goals from I don't know, Daniel Sprong, Oliver
Eli
Bjorkstrand.
Tolvanen.
Dude, Oliver Bjorkstrand as well, like he's been
Dude,
playing pretty
that guy had
well
like
all playoffs.
7 shots, like 7 posts last game in Game 7, and he scored 2 goals in
A,
it.
s-
We're
a
gonna have
What
fun
was
sleeper.
this
the
game.
picture that you guys who sent it in? Was it Brian? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so that the 2019 Blue Jackets, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 of them are still in the playoffs. Bobrovsky, Duclair, Wenberg, and Bjorkstrand. The team that swept Tampa. All the other ones are like there's another 5 more that did make the playoffs, but I'm not really concerned about them. But it's the ones that are
Yeah.
still in, like Bob and Bjorkstrand in particular. Those guys are lighting it up right now. Like
Specifically Bob. Like
yeah,
I'm like you
He's got
guys
an elastic groin. That's my
yeah.
takeaway from this game is like the dude can stretch the kingdom come, and he won't be coming up limping, right? Like we see Sammy make some of those moves and we're like, oh god, is he even gonna walk
There was
again?
one last game yesterday, I think, where they had the camera focused on him for egregious amount of, maybe it was only 5 more seconds, but it felt like 10 minutes that they just had the camera focus on Sam, and he's on one knee. I think he was just catching his breath, honestly.
In
But
his head, he's just like, just smile, just
just
smile,
yeah.
just
There
smile.
was some concern though. So I don't know if you caught this, Christian, but just before the game started, I got a tweet notification from Elliot Friedman who said that Sammy took a puck off the collarbone in warmups, and they were still like unsure kind of if he's going to be okay to go, but he was okay to go. Like, he looked fine, good enough, I would say, until the fourth goal. So Brandon Montour scores. And the one thing I want to know, I wouldn't put much of the blame on Sammy for any of the as much as you would like a save for the 3 goals that went in prior, you would have loved to have a save for this goal.
None of them are his fault. And I think that's
but this one, Brian, this one,
I don't think it was his fault, but
the Montour one.
I do. I like. Listen, I think you can put a lot of blame on him.
I think you
give
put a
your
lot
opinion
more
first.
blame.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what was, Brian, in particular? You, as the outside, well, you know, actually, you know just as well as us.
We're all part of the Sammy club here.
One recurring theme was Sammy in particular, in the playoffs, especially. I think we mentioned it maybe at least 2 or 3 times already.
He enjoys swimming as a hobby.
Yeah, on his free time, dude, he loves to breaststroke or what's the free? Is this the
Front
freestyle?
crawl.
The front crawl.
Front crawl.
Yeah, dude, man, he went for a swim on that play. He was out of his crease.
I don't think I don't think you can blame him. The reason I say you can't blame him is because they scored on an advantage. On an advantage, it's your player's job to just touch the puck. You guys didn't touch the puck for like, what was it, like? It was like 3 minutes.
Probably a minute.
It was
that's a long time without getting possession.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think what we're trying to say though is, if he was maybe more calm and like, if
he wasn't in the crease anymore, man. He just wasn't in the crease. I think it's as simple as that. He literally he decided. I honestly think, and this is without having gone back to watch the replay again, just from what I saw last night, I honestly think some of his thought process was, oh crap, there's a lot of traffic in front. They're gonna throw one on net. What if I just kind of bump into a Florida player and maybe there's goaltender interference? I honestly think that's what he was trying to do there. He got out of his crease. He wasn't in the blue paint anymore. He just said, where's the nearest Florida Panther? Let me just kind of bump into them. If it goes in, well, maybe I can plead goalie interference. And there wasn't really any goalie interference there. I just think, like, if he stayed in his net, if he stayed in the crease, he could probably stop that puck. I actually think he has a better chance of seeing it as well. He moved into the traffic, right? I don't know. I did not like Sammy on that play.
I just feel like in that moment, you guys have 5 other guys on the ice. Someone's just gotta take possession and just start the penalty kill. If that's the case.
So another thing with that as well, if I'm not mistaken, those were also guys who, so on that play in particular, the puck was in the offensive zone, when the
penalty was taken,
and then all those guys got to come back, like, and they were in the offensive zone putting up some like, it's not like they were things. So that's
end of a shift, basically, when it happened.
That was the end of the shift, and then you're adding that delay onto it. It was just like those guys were gassed already, and they're trying to move out probably a re-energized Florida attack. So listen, I'm not gonna. It's so tough to put the blame on one person. I want to spread the blame, but I think Sammy should be included in some of that blame. I don't think he should have been included in some of the blame before. Like, I want to say on the
breakaway one. Yeah,
I thought he played that well, and Verhaeghe put it in a beautiful spot. He put it right on top of the pad, right under the glove.
Oh, like that's a pick that spot out, right? 100%. But on that play, I think criticism should be valid where criticism is due, right? So that's just my opinion. Like, that's what as soon as the puck went in, I'm like, oh, dude.
And I also think we can throw some credit to Florida here. Just looking at Toronto and Florida in their past series, I think they've shown they can do some damage when the net is empty. These are two teams that have scored huge goals with an empty net. That's some of the takeaway here, right? We
Well,
saw it a couple times against Boston with the empty net in Game 7. They scored there. Toronto, we saw multiple times in these comeback games. So, and that's kind of the story to end the game, right? Is us with the empty net, end up with a 4-minute double minor on O'Reilly. It was a double minor. They reviewed it, all that good stuff. Tons of pressure. Bobrovsky makes some huge saves. Can't bury them. We needed 2, couldn't bury 1. But both of these teams are shown to be crazy with the net empty, I think.
I think that the Cats actually against Boston, the last time they had, not like the last time, but against Boston, I know for a fact they did like 6 forwards on the ice for an empty net play.
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of lethal, especially when you have.
I mean,
like, their
listen, when
group.
you're down like
You need a
that,
goal.
and Florida was that also not Florida on the brink of elimination as well?
I believe so.
If it
Yeah,
was like was that wasn't game 7, I think that might have been game 6.
something
they've
like
done it
that.
twice. I think they did it twice, man.
They could have. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, if it's brink of elimination type of stuff, are you gonna
Yeah.
remember? Like, that's something as much as, like, listen, Brandon Montour probably should be on the ice. If I'm gonna put anybody out there for, like, as a defenseman for an extra attack, like the extra
It's gonna be
skater,
Montour,
Brandon
yeah. But I
Montour
just think
should
that
be
for
up
that one
there.
time that
But if you have,
yeah.
like, listen, is that gonna be the one that you're gonna nail Paul Maurice on the head for? Like, why did you do that? It's like, dude, there's
No. Might have been
9
end of a
seconds left in
shift
the
for
game.
the defenseman too, right? Like,
Potentially.
well, I
You
mean,
never
they've
know,
got
right?
options. They got Forsling, Montour, Ekblad. This is something I wanted to get to as well. Who's their other 3 defensemen after Forsling, Montour, Ekblad? Gudis is 1. Stahl is the 5th. Who's the 6th? Who am I?
Mahura.
Mahura. I'm always forgetting that guy. Okay. I've seen lots of people say Florida only has 3 defensemen and a bunch of plugs. Radko Gudas is actually good. I'm sorry,
No,
like I
he is.
gotta say it. The
Yeah.
guy is actually can play hockey.
He
He is an absolute like just rhinoceros, but he
Yeah.
can actually play the game.
He did make
Maybe
a
not
bad
have 3.
play.
They have 4.
He did make a bad play on the bunting goal. He took himself
Okay.
out of position.
Okay.
When
I don't look at
dude, I on my life, I thought he speared. I forget who he took down. Might have been a defenseman. I want to say it was Gio that he like just like legitimately turned it to edge in 2002 and speared him right to the ground. But because of that,
Let's see if I can catch it here.
it opened up a little bit more ice for Bunting and Yarncroke to execute that backdoor pass. And so in plays like that, I understand where people are like, he's just like Gudis is just a plug. But I understand what you mean, though, Christian.
I'm looking at this one here. Yeah, this is this is hilarious, bro.
Yeah, dude, he took himself right out of the
coming
play.
off the bench. Yeah, he must be coming off the bench, and he just goes straight at O'Reilly. That's who it was. And he just kind of topsy turvy spins him, and that is why Bunting is all alone. Okay, yes, definitely.
That's what I mean. Like,
was not. He was badass there. Not a badass, but not a good ass either.
He Everybody has those moments, right? Like, I'm not gonna pin Radko Gudas on the head, like, oh, dude, awful defenseman just because of that, because he wasn't. He was actually pretty good.
I want to give him credit for like his offensive instincts and the fact that he can like make a stretch pass and that type of stuff. Like, when you just think Radko Gudas, you don't think that he can kind of whip the puck around or throw it on net and keep offensive pressure going.
He looks like the caveman sort of hockey. He looks like a caveman hockey player.
Unga bunga hockey player.
Yeah, but in reality, he's definitely more than that. He just gets typecasted into one of those roles.
He also
can't believe I'm defending and promoting Radko Gudas, but anyways,
he just gets shit on because he plays on the right side, and then Florida's right side is just loaded.
He's also throwing some dirty hits and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't help either.
It's justified. Right? His reputation is justified, but I just want to say,
honestly, like, if he wasn't making the money he was making, I would have been happy to keep him in DC for a bit. The problem is 3.5 for a 7th, or 3.5 for a 6th defenseman.
Yeah,
it's kind of an overpayment. Yeah.
I'd say Justin Hall right now is like at 2.5 or 2, and he's a healthy scratch, right?
Yeah,
but 100, I do agree 100% with what you're saying. Like, dude, if you get Radko on 1 by 1, let's just say like a 1-year expiring contract.
I didn't even give him 2.5 or 2.2. I don't mind that. It's just
I
3.5 is a
think
lot of money.
I think maybe like 2 is probably that sweet spot. Like, yeah, okay. One in hindsight, 1 is probably like too little. Like I wouldn't accept if he wouldn't accept 1. 2 is a fair number, but if it's like for 1 year, I think like most teams, especially ones in the playoffs, like that's a guy that you probably want on your team in the playoffs. Like
He's your Luke Shen. Wait, sorry, he's their Luke
yeah,
Shen,
like
I
listen,
guess.
he's
I
not
think it's a
winning
good way to put it.
he is not winning a track meet by any stretch of the imagination. The guy has like no, he's not like he's a bit fleet of foot, 100%. But that's not what he's there for. Like you've got him. Honestly, Brian, like now that you just said that, that is a perfect comparable. It's Luke
It
Shen
is.
because that's a lot of the stuff that Luke Shen does, right?
And if
Like
you
to
just say
to
Luke Shank to someone as a neutral who doesn't watch him, they'd be like, "Oh, he's the lumbering defenseman who just does stuff defensively."
But he
But we've
does more
seen,
than that.
oh, he can actually move the puck. He actually makes good decisions with it. All this stuff. So that's what I would say about Gudas too. Yeah.
And it's that plus the lumbering. Like it's not like he
Yes,
lacks in
it's
the
not one or
lumbering
the other.
department. Yeah.
It's both. It's
all
both.
this, yeah,
Someone's saying the Paul Maurice thing. It's Panthers get 1 win, Leafs in 5. that's
I
that's
maybe
what it is. Okay.
never know.
I thought you were gonna say Wakanda forever.
Oh, you're gonna have
Right?
all 5-0 for that. It's gonna be 5 and 5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
No.
right. Yeah, that's right.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Uh, Brian,
you
go
can,
ahead. I know you got a question here. What's up?
yeah, I was just gonna ask. So Dave mentioned Justin Hall, healthy scratch. Do you
I like
guys
how you're
want to
saying it
see?
like while laughing. Like, what do you like? Like, it's
What
like
are you
you
implying,
want to
Brian?
see us suffer or something.
Because
And
I just want to know, like, do you guys want to see Justin Hall back for 11-7,
I
or would you rather
don't.
see Gus?
I would
No,
rather
give
see
me Gus
Gus.
if we go 11-7. I'm even fine with
Yeah.
playing this again. I think we did play. I thought the process once again was good enough last night as a whole to run it back. Because you're basically just challenging Bobrovsky to stand on his head again. And as long as you're not making brain farts like we did last night, it's probably a game you win, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the story of the game was Leafs kind of defensive errors, brain farts, and Bobrovsky standing on his head.
Well, dude, I
So
think there's no better what's it called? Like
team
valuation. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
valuation of the prior game of the like that game than
Yeah.
the Twitter's everybody's favorite on Twitter, the deserve a win-o-meter, whatever.
I haven't
Deserve
seen
to
it yet. So
win-o-meter.
what was the deserve to win meter
60.
looking like last
It
night?
was
60-40.
legitimately no, dude, Brian. It
No?
was like
80-20?
It was 75, like 25, or maybe it
So
was 70-30. It was like it was in
yeah,
the. I know the Leafs had the 70s 100%. So
I would go
that's one of those.
60-40, like just watching it.
Yeah,
If I had to put a number on
on
it,
the
I'd go
eye test,
60-40.
I
Yeah.
agree 100%. I wouldn't give the
Okay.
Leafs that much credit to because they definitely had their flaws last game, right? Like they had
I
their
feel like
moments,
okay.
and
I
Florida
can't believe
had
we
their
haven't talked about this yet. Dave, how
what?
have we not talked about Willie yet? That was a
Oh,
bad
that
Willie
was a bad
game. And
game. Yeah.
and we know that I love me some Willie. That sounded really
Dude.
bad. Dear God.
Man, dude, I love me some Willie too all the time. Like I'll take a Willie
Oh
anytime.
God.
Um,
Nylander was a dog last night.
yeah,
He was brain
that
farts
was
too. Brain farts.
hands down.
Offensive brain farts.
That was hands down his worst performance these playoffs in 7 games. And he had 1 or 2 stinkers, I would say, against Tampa.
Okay. Yeah. Dave, the one play where he comes in on the right
When he
right
was
half
on
wall, enters the zone,
and he
spins off a defender,
you
has
know who he
total
span
open
off of?
ice.
You know who he span
I'm
off
sorry?
of? Mark Stahl.
Oh, okay,
Mark
come on,
Stahl.
dude. Mark Stahl is a pylon.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Mark Stahl last game got sent to the Shadow Realm at least 3 times. Like not just by hits. Like
he's
dude,
what people
got
think Radko Gudas
Radko
is, by the way.
Gudas is. That is
Yeah.
the perfect valuation right there. Like he
Yeah.
is like thank God Radko Gudas can stay on his feet because Mark Stahl got sent into the boards at least 3 times. Like it was bad. But yeah, dude, Willie with confidence. I don't know if it's confidence that he's lacking right now. No idea what it is, but Willie on his torrid stretch, right? When he was it felt like every game he was
Yeah.
getting a goal. That Willie takes the puck to the net. He doesn't turn back and he look for a pass. Like that Willie goes to the net, maybe doesn't move, tries to drop a
Does his
Bobrovsky.
backhand roof short side? Does his
Yeah. Dude.
I see. I don't think it's confidence. I think it's focus. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. Focus and a goal in mind. I feel like in the season he had a goal in mind. I want to be a 40 goal scorer. I want to be a point per game player. And Keefe pushed the right buttons. He kept that front of mind. What is Willie's goal now? We need to come up with a goal. Sheldon Keefe has to come up with a goal for Willie. Like he's got to go to Willie and be like, I want you to be our best player this series. Go out there and be our best player because you are the player that we need. This is your type of series. If it's going to be fast paced and everything, this series was made for William Nylander. This is going to be breakaway central for him. You got to show us that this is all about you. I'm just making that up. I don't know what the message is to give him.
Dude,
that's for Keith.
I think,
and for Willie. Willie's got to come up with it himself too.
I think that message is probably, like, if that's not the message that Sheldon Keefe is preaching from the fucking rafters after that last night, and I wouldn't even say it's just for Willie. I think there's 3 or 4 guys that could really, like we mentioned it before, Alex Kerfoot, another player, Yarncroke. If you have the time and space that you're gonna get in this, you're gonna get the time and space in this series. That is my point.
Yes.
The Tampa series, I think it was pretty obvious that was gonna be almost like clutch and grab going into like
space
5,
was
6,
a
and
luxury.
7. Space was, and the space was a lot. Like
it's weird. So it feels like what's being shifted now is the team who's got the best maybe finishing might win this series, right? Because like you said, trading chances, who can put them away?
Mm-hmm.
And you like just on paper, you'd probably give the advantage to Toronto, but I don't know. Like maybe I'm just looking at the forwards, maybe that's why. But when you've got Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Nylander, like these guys are sharpshooting finishers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're maybe outside of Marner, but Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander, their best ability. They've got lots of good abilities, but their shots are lethal.
The thing with Marner is he lies. So like if he's not in the defensive zone, he's like hiding just behind the the Florida defense, right? And he's waiting for that stretch pass to come to him. It happened only once, I think, in the Tampa series, and he he wasn't able to put it away. I think now if he gets like 3 of them, he'll probably put 1 or 2 of them away, right? Like he's got the moves in front of the net.
Yeah, that's saw Verhaeghe snipe it. So like it's part of it. Someone's gonna get their breakaway chance. You got to match Verhaeghe. Okay, do we think that Toronto can win the Florida style game? I think we can.
There is a way.
Yeah, because I think the telltale sign of like a Stanley Cup contender is winning series in different ways, right? You're not a one-trick pony. Win the Tampa series playing Tampa's game, win the Florida series playing Florida's game. Like that is telltale sign of someone who can win a cup.
Yeah,
so
it's not like
I think they're capable. I do.
It's not like the late 90s anymore where it was like the only way to win the cup was playing that like the trap
left wing
basically,
lock.
right?
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore, right? Last year with Colorado, they had their, when they needed to play that methodical style, they were able to. With Tampa, especially, dude, 2 cups in 2 years, three finals in 3 years.
Tampa was trying to slow the play down. It was Colorado pushing the pace.
Tampa, before their cup run, they were closer to the Florida style of play. They were a lot more running,
especially like 2015. That cup run, I remember they were total run and gun.
Dude, 100%. And you know what? And then you look where it caught them. It caught them right. Okay, granted, they weren't lucky with injuries. I'll tell you that. But look where it caught them. It caught them in the Cup Finals against
put Tampa in this series. If it was Tampa who beat Toronto and they were playing Florida again, we saw last year it's Tampa versus Florida in the second round, and they stomped them 4-0. So Tampa was a team that could do both, right?
They're able
Florida
to turn
do
it on.
both? I don't even. We don't know because they've just been putting the pressure on. They force other teams to play their game. I don't know. Sheldon Keefe, he had a quote saying we're going to make some adjustments for game 2. I don't know if that's just stylistically.
Sounds like Justin Hall's coming back
within the lineup. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to find out what he means by that. But I do wonder, like I said, is it going to be him trying to dictate the pace of the game? Because I don't know if you can.
Okay, so the question I have for you, Christian and Brian, if you want to, I don't know if you asked this question or if you were going to allude to it, Brian. Do we make a change? Like, oh, especially, I would say this change I'm looking at in particular does. Do we change to 11-7? Do we keep that same lineup from yesterday, or does somebody else, like, does Gus not come in and Hall comes in? Where do we think? Because I have my answer of what I want to see.
Zara out, Gus in 11-7. That's my take.
Okay, I think run it back for game 2. I think they played
where
well
I'm at
enough
too.
to run it back. This
Yeah.
is what I think Sheldon Keefe is going to do, though. Paul is going to come back in the lineup.
No,
I
I don't
don't.
think so. No,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think you can watch that game and say
You
Justin
need
Hall
Justin
is
Hall
going
there.
to fix it. I don't think
Dude,
so.
me and you can. Us three can say that.
Sure.
All of Leafs Nation could say that. Sheldon Keefe could look at it and be like, well,
he's like your Anthony Mantha. It's like you
But
guys
this
need.
is also, listen, man. It's like Keith. He didn't he show us that he's willing to scratch him? Isn't that?
well,
Like,
he
can't
did 2
we?
games in a row,
I'm gonna
right?
give him. Yeah, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here and think that he's gonna stick with it, or at least if he does go 11-7, it'll be Gus. I don't think after watching that game you say Justin Hall's what we need, especially because Florida didn't take any penalties, man, other than the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what you want Justin Hall for. It's penalty killing.
You could chuck slap shots to the face.
Yes. So I would run
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah,
Even
100%.
though
I
the
think
fourth
that's
line
the
did
logical.
nothing.
That is
The
the
reason-
logical
Yeah.
answer.
The reason I say
Yeah.
11-7 is because your left side is so slow. Like,
Yeah.
I think it might be
yeah.
the slowest in the that's available left in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Your right side's okay though, but in regards to in regards to the left side, you put Gus there, just a little bit of extra mobility. You have a little bit of a stretch passer there. It might benefit you guys if you guys get caught in the running gun style. Just stylistically, it just makes sense on paper.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And I'm not opposed to it. If I had to power rank my choices, it is number 1, running back. Number 2, 11-7 Gus. And then number 3, I don't know, Hall, I guess, but it's not even an option, really.
Yeah,
I'm putting it
I
at the
think
bottom
I
of the
think
totem
3
pole.
is maybe if you 11-7 Hall in, it's like
That's
like
what I
here's
mean.
the thing,
Yes,
it's
right.
two maybe two right-sided. Like, I don't know if you keep Lily out in that case.
No, he has
No,
to stay.
no,
It's the one
no,
guy that
he
you
has
need
to.
in the
That's what I
series.
mean, right? Like, then you have
He
like
had a good game.
4 right D. Maybe one of them just goes onto the left side, but
Is there a case where you do 11-7, put Gus and Hall in, and then take out
that
Gio?
that is you
Oh,
know
He's very
what?
like,
I
he's the
slow.
think
guy that's
He's
coming out. He was on a goal. He was on the ice for a goal against yesterday too. I gotta see how many he was, but I saw on the first goal he was on
on
for
the
the
first
Cusps
goal, yeah.
The defensive
Listen,
breakdown. It's him behind the net who loses the puck battle.
mm-hmm. That was another note the mental note that I had.
Yeah,
I thought maybe, you get through Tampa and well, I mean, even
they
with
got a little
Florida,
bit of
maybe
rest, but
it's that pressure. I don't know if it's the pressure that's eating him right now, but I don't even
I don't
last
know what it is.
it wasn't even just
age,
yeah, well, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I
38.
think you know what I will say in defensive Geo is in the offensive zone, he is made like he has his mind made up. If he's gonna shoot it, he's gonna
Which
shoot
I
it.
do like.
I
And
do
Justin
like that.
Hall does not. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played
It's not even
15
just
minutes
Justin
last
Hall.
night,
Yeah.
second least among defenders. So Liljegren had 17 minutes, while Giordano had 15. So this does kind of reflect that the coaching staff is seeing what we see too. So
Dude, if Gio's playing 15 a night, that's
it's a good
fine.
spot.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah,
Luke
100%.
Shen played 14-26. That also makes sense. And I think this goes straight to the idea of you're not bringing Justin Hall in, because Justin Hall stylistically, those are the two defensemen he's closest to. Shen and Gio, maybe McCabe, you would say, but Shen played 14-26. If Shen's playing 14-26, you're not putting Hall in for crazy numbers. I don't
McCabe
think.
was electric last night, dude. Oh
And
my God.
McCabe had 20 minutes of ice time. Riley had 25, but 5 minutes on the power play.
Mhm.
So that's where all of that extra ice time came from. Yeah, I think you just run it back, man. I really do.
I think this one is I think at the end of the day, this one is a learning game. As much as you don't want to
Feeling
have
out
learning
process.
games in the playoffs, this one has to be one where you chalk it
How
up
does okay,
as,
but how does Florida look at this game then? Why are we looking
oh,
at
that
it
was,
as a learning game and Florida looking at it like
well, Florida
what?
should
There's
look at
supposed
this
to be
game.
some
Florida should look
Like
at this game as what we did right, we did fantastic, and whatever we did wrong, we need to tighten up on. Like you just take this
okay.
momentum basically. Now Florida's on a 4-game win streak, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
won out
It's
the,
their first, or no, it's Bobrovsky's first 4-game win streak of the season.
yeah, that's right. That's right. I did hear that stat.
Yeah,
So now you're running off of momentum now. If you're Florida,
house
like
muddy, no
let's see how
pressure.
far. Yeah, let's see how far we can take it. Right? Do they run back in with the same type of performance? You have to. If you're Florida, you have to expect a bigger pushback from the, like, for however much of a pushback you got in the first game against the Leafs, you have to expect for a bigger pushback, right? You have to be able to manage the storm first.
for
I
for
think
me,
if you're Florida,
I think the Cats have the mindset right now of we just beat Boston, the team that nobody thought we were going to beat, as Matthew Tkachuk said.
and people are already discrediting Florida, right?
Let's do it again, and
Let's
we
do
can
it
keep
again.
doing it again.
Yeah,
And we're
well,
gonna
the
this
keep doing it
Kachuk's
again.
saying too. He's like, this is the second best team. Let's just look at that.
Yeah.
A reward for the first best team is the second best team. What
I
after you
mean,
beat us? Is New Jersey
yeah.
the third best and Edmonton the
Yeah,
fourth best? Right?
objectively, he's not right
what
there, right? Like,
Yeah, but
we finished
that's
fourth in the league, but
It's the
that's how
we
mindset.
they
talked
look
about
at it.
this. This is the Tom Brady. The nobody thought we could do it. Everyone underestimated us. No, you're Tom Brady. I think we thought you were okay. Not
You
that
know
Florida
what?
Panthers are Tom Brady.
Yeah. You know what? I think they have a justification for thinking them being the underdogs because,
Yeah.
bulletin board material, man. Directly after that Tampa game, you get the "We want Florida" chance.
I'm so well. I don't know. Some people are like mad about people being mad about that. I'm mad
Yeah.
about it because I think it's not loser mentality,
Yeah.
but it's like, don't worry
Take
about
whoever
it.
you get.
You got,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Celebrate. Just celebrate the win
Yeah.
and get ready for thing. And that's just something that, if you're gonna tell me that guys on that team didn't see that, of course they saw
well, they did.
stuff like
Verhage
that.
saw it. Verhage
Yeah.
said like, we saw that, and I
Yeah.
guess they're
It
getting
pisses
what
them
they
off.
want.
It pisses them off. Even against Boston, right? How many we came on this podcast and said Bruins in fucking 3, right? We were like,
Yeah.
there's
No, we
no
did.
chance.
We
Like
did.
maybe they steal a game, Florida, and
Yeah.
they won the
I'm-
goddamn
okay.
series. Like,
I was-
come
So
on.
so I figured it out. We need for Willie, okay? The message for Willie, how to get him amped up and angry. Someone needs to find a video of, I don't know, Panthers Square in Sunrise, Florida, where the Panthers fans are saying,
there's 10 of
"We
them.
want Willie." Can we find that video? Does that video exist? We need to
There's
show
10 of them
Nylander
in
that
that
video.
square.
Yeah, it's
On their
like
lawn chairs.
exactly. And that was
probably
what always
Leafs
made me
fans
laugh
in
when they
the-
showed the Tampa one. Yeah, exactly. There's probably Welcome to Panthers Square, and it's just a watch party for Leaf fans to see who they're playing after Game 7. Yeah.
And
Oh man.
anything else you guys want to say rapid fire before we close it off?
Okay, one more aspect, one more thing. The physical aspect of the game. Not a lot of physicality. Almost kind of low key regular season feel.
That was,
To be honest.
that really was.
Right?
It felt like an extension.
Right?
That felt like the fourth game of or the fifth game of the series that we, like, the regular season series that we
Yes.
had against them.
It did.
The one thing I will note on that front is by game 3, game 4, I would expect the physicality. If not by next game, I would expect that physicality to turn up to like a 10.
And I should put a caveat on that. Physicality in terms of crap between the whistles.
Yeah.
Because we saw like how many huge hits.
Oh, there was like 4 at
like
least
6
on both sides.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Kachuk was getting clobbered. Knives got clobbered. Riley's throwing big hits. McCabe's doing McCabe stuff.
Dude,
so I should mention that. Shen.
I think Shen sent, like, that was another one. I'll use the Shadow Realm again, dude. Somebody got put through the boards. I'm pretty sure.
I love seeing guys try to hit Shen and then end up on the
And then
board.
just
That's
bounce
my
off.
favorite thing.
Yeah.
That is my favorite thing, man. So listen, I don't know. If you're Toronto, do you want to be physical? Do you think that helps you slow the game down? If you're Florida, do you want to be physical? I don't know. But all I know is we didn't see it in game 1. I'll be curious to see if either team is trying to stir it up between the whistles. Florida
Yeah.
takes the most penalties in the league in the regular season, and I think that's still been the case in the playoffs. Paul Maurice talked about it too, saying we just gotta. This is just kind of how it is. So I don't know. Maybe you just kind of leave things as is physicality wise, because if Toronto's gonna get the power play advantage, you take that.
You
Just
know
gotta
what?
execute.
You know what it looked like actually? That looked like two teams, especially during the whistles, that looked like two teams who were unsure of how much they could get away with. If that's
Yes, that's a
let's
good
say
point. It's
if
good.
let's say that's Tampa and Florida in this round, Tampa's doing that type of like the stuff that they know won't get called,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
And I don't
they
think we know
also
what could get it. Like even after
exactly
game one, we still don't know.
the Leafs on one hand, they have a mentality about them where it's like the refs are against them every single game. So it's like we don't even know what we can and cannot get away with. And with
Yeah,
Florida,
but they
you
react off of
mentioned
the other team.
exactly. With Florida, they can react because they're the most penalized team. And it's like by a wide margin as well. So they
So I
can't
guess
even
agree,
do
Toronto. Don't
anything.
give them a reason for that to change, right?
And
Okay,
Yeah.
I think we solved it.
something we do know is that you can
Yeah.
get your Razor and NHLshop.ca merch at their websites. The links
Yeah,
down
go
below.
pick up a Matt Kachuk reverse retro jersey at
Yeah,
NHL
yeah,
Shop.
Rocket Chuck,
Hot
Brandon
commodity.
Watchmore, anything like that. NHLshop.ca. You can watch Hockey Night in Canada on Football TV. We don't have a lot of time left. We're gonna edit there. Thank you again for listening.
Awesome.
Dave's TikToks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
TikToks.
they haven't come out, but they will.